Florida governor and 2024 Republican presidential candidate Ron DeSantis has suspended Orange Osceola State Attorney Monique Worrell, pointing to child rape suspect Dayton Vile, who was out on bond when he shot two officers last week.
The state of Florida is a law and order state, and that means we support the men and women who wear the uniform, who protect and serve. It means we have strong policies to hold criminals accountable for their misconduct.
Worrell vows to fight in court.
I am your duly elected state attorney for the 9th Judicial Circuit, and nothing done by a weak dictator can change that.
This is the second elected state attorney DeSantis has suspended in the past year. The European Commission president promising more aid for flood-ravaged Slovenia.
Addressing the country's National Assembly, Ursula von der Leyen said,
I could see with my own eyes the damage and the destruction caused by the floods. The storm wreaked havoc in 2/3 of Slovenia. The water has washed away all sorts of critical infrastructure, from bridges to electricity lines.
She called it a national and European tragedy. Damage estimates expected to run into the billions. Tom Rivers, ABC News at the Foreign Desk.
This is ABC News.
Taking news to an all-new level. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
KVNU News Time is 5:04. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. Board President of the Sunshine Terrace Foundation, Stephanie Sorensen, was our guest on KVNU's For the People program yesterday. Now, Sunshine Terrace is going 75 years strong. To commemorate, they are having a logo contest. So the deadline for this, however, is midnight on Friday. Sorensen said Sunshine Terrace has been providing care over the decades for older adults in the northern Utah, southeast Idaho area.
Yes, and that's what we really want, and it's for our 75th anniversary. We'll use the logo throughout the year.
To celebrate, huh?
To celebrate, and we'll use it on a variety of things.
So again, the deadline is midnight Friday. Sorensen said Sunshine Terrace has been providing care over the decades for older adults.
In fact, 75 years ago, there wasn't anything in our community to help aging adults. And that's why the founding fathers, I should say, brought together, and there were also women that sat on the board, brought together an organization called Sunshine Terrace Foundation, and at the time it was just for residents.
So even though the time is about up for the logo contest, if you want more information, you can go to sunshineterrace.org, then click on Happenings, then Events. The winner will be announced in October. Also, the annual fundraiser for Sunshine Terrace is coming up on August 17th at the Vineyards at Mount Naomi Farms in Hyde Park. That will feature a concert by the Blue Blazers along with a dinner and auction. Again, you can get more details at sunshineterrace.org. KVNU News Time is 5:06. KVNU weather for tonight, partly cloudy skies, overnight low in the mid-50s, and then sunny around 90 tomorrow. West winds 10 to 20 miles an hour in the afternoon, mostly sunny on Friday and upper 80s for the high. It's been to 82. It's 80 degrees right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. They feature all the best brands: Croyle, Amsoil, Schaefer, BG, and Seafoam. Find the parts and oil you need to keep your car and equipment running its best at your 5 locations from Preston to Providence.
If you've ever passed by 485 North Main, you've likely noticed how well kept the property is. The grass is always green and the flower beds are always well kept and in bloom. What you see on the outside is exactly what you'll find inside. Care and attention to detail. Exactly what you want when you're dealing with one of your most important senses, your hearing. Dr. Daines' love and care for the community has always gone beyond the front steps at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. So if you're not hearing as well as you used to, stop in at 485 North Main in Logan or visit them online at cachehearing.com.
KBNU News Time is 5:08. A Cedar City man who police say had a human skull on a bookshelf in his home is now facing a criminal charge because of it. The 60-year-old man told investigators the skull was gifted to him as a child and came from the catacombs under London. But a Cedar City police detective questioned the story, and now prosecutors say they don't believe it either, although they are not sure where the skull, which is estimated to be several hundred years old, actually came from. The investigation began in July when police responded to the man's apartment on an unrelated call for medical assistance. While in the residence, an officer noted a realistic human skull sitting on the shelf of a bookcase. And an Idaho man has been charged with 2 counts of destruction of an energy facility after federal prosecutors said he shot a rifle at 2 hydroelectric power stations and caused damage to both. 58-year-old Randy Vale of Meridian, Idaho, allegedly used the firearm to shoot at the Hells Canyon Dam Station and the Brownlee Dam Station on June 8th and 9th, according to charging documents. Owned by Idaho Power Company, the dams produce, transmit, store, and distribute electricity to Washington, Idaho, and Oregon. The shooting caused over $100,000 in damages, according to an indictment. Court records did not list an attorney who might speak on Vale's behalf. KBNU News Time is 5:09. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Dr. Josh Red, chiropractic physician, explains how Red River Health and Wellness can help you.
If you have low thyroid and you're taking thyroid medication, the biggest question you should ask yourself is what's causing my low thyroid specifically? If you don't know the answer to that question, it's important to call us. At Red River, we identified triggers that will cause the low thyroid to begin with. One of the most common causes of low thyroid is a disease called Hashimoto's disease. This is an autoimmune disease that is a lot more complicated than just a primary thyroid issue. This is why people will be on thyroid hormone but still feel little to no improvement because nothing's being done to address the bigger, more complicated problem, which is Hashimoto's. If you have low thyroid or you have an autoimmune disease and you're on medication and still don't feel well, call Red River.
Schedule your appointment today at 855-55-RIVER. Red River Health and Wellness with offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Call Red River today.
What if you could come home every day to a peaceful retreat nestled in the mountains? A place that's only minutes from downtown Logan, but offers access to national forests from your own backyard, surrounded by mountains, horse riding, hiking trails, babbling brooks, and more. All this at Maple Creek Ranch, which is now in its 4th and final phase of development. 2.5-acre lots, your own piece of paradise that's remote yet accessible. And road improvements will be completed this summer. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. Go to maplecreekranch.net. Maple Creek Ranch, just east of Franklin, Idaho.
The Aggies are returning home. Beginning this season, USU football and basketball will be back on KVNU.
Touchdown, Utah State!
Listen to every game, static-free at 102 FM, 610 AM, and online at kvnutalk.com or the KVNU mobile app.
It's recovered by Utah State, and the Aggies get the touchdown.
The season begins September 2nd when Utah State travels to Iowa to face the Hawkeyes. Join us in welcoming the Aggies back to KVNU, the home again for the Aggies.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People, Hour 2 of today's show, jumping right back in because we have some very special guests joining us here. as part of our monthly segment looking into Logan City School District. Joining us here in the studio, we have Mr. Frank Schoefield, the superintendent of Logan Schools. Also joining us this week, Chris Hardy, counselor with the Bridger Adams Elementary. And we should talk about whether parents have been showing up there angry with all the proposed changes in that way. I'm kidding. I won't put you in that hot seat. And Trudy Petersen, a high school counselor at Logan High. And it's a pleasure to have you all here in the studio. And as is tradition, Frank usually set us up, kind of set the stage for our conversation. Tell us why you chose to force these two to come in and be on the radio today.
Well, first is they're awesome, and any chance I get to be in a room with Chris and Trudy is a good day. But we were thinking of school starting in another week and a half, 2 weeks. And the startup for school is a time that's filled with a lot of excitement, but it can also be filled with a little bit of trepidation, both from students and families. You're ending summer, transitioning back to school. Maybe you're new to the community and you're not familiar with what the school system's like. Maybe you're a parent or a grandparent and you have your first child going to public school or your first grandchild going to public school.
Sure. And
you might have questions about, okay, what do I do in this next 2 weeks to make sure that that's a positive transition? For my child? What do I do to make sure that they have a positive first experience? And I wanted Chris and Trudy to come just because that's what their focus is as school counselors. Their focus really is how do we help people have positive experiences at school, whether that's a child who just needs help making sure they're selecting the right classes so they get what they want out of the school experience, making sure they're registered for those, or maybe you have a child who's dealing with some emotional distress. They're a little bit anxious. And what can we do to help them take a breath and have a positive mindset about going to school and move it in. So we just wanted to bring them in so they can share some tips with families who are out there and share some insights in what are the things that we do in schools to try to create those positive opportunities for kids.
Frank, appreciate that and appreciate you organizing this because this is so topical I mean, you can pick a handful of headlines from around the state on any given day and tie it back to the work you do, to the challenges right now in schools and for parents, for students. The debate over the legislature and the governor pushing, certain social media bills, trying to grapple with how they're affecting teens. All of this, in one way or another, ends up in your offices, right? At some time or another. What's it like right now? If it's possible to characterize the times, what's it like right now for high school students? What are some of the challenges that you see most?
Well, in the high school, we have a lot of challenges, just like you're saying. Social media is a big one.
Yeah. I can't imagine. I know what my parents had to worry about, and throwing not just social media, but the internet on top of that. Whoa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're happy to see some things happening in the state in regards to that. We also deal with a lot of anxiety, depression, types of emotional issues for our students. So we try to gear up for that so that we're able to meet them and help them with their needs. Of course, with high school, our students are working towards graduation, so that's a huge part of our focus is helping students get to graduation. And then also because of our district's motto is to prepare our students for a life to be contributing members of the community. We provide them with ability to be able to go forward after high school and post-high school opportunities.
That is, and that you make it sound so simple. I assume none of this is easy, right?
No.
How long have you both been doing this, if I can ask?
Well, this is my 6th year.
Wow.
At the elementary schools here in Logan, but it's my 15th year in education.
Wow. This is, and for you?
Yeah. This is my 8th year as a counselor at Logan High School. Before that, I was a teacher of special ed and students at risk at Mount Logan Middle School.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So a lot of experience, it combined and individually here. For parents right now with kids coming into high school for the first time, what would you say to them? If you were speaking to the parents, not as a high school counselor with a student there but to the parents that are apprehensive, anxious about the times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really stressful time for parents with students coming into high school for the first time. Chris kind of gets them ready, preps them as they come to us.
Try to anyway.
Yeah. But we just try to reassure the parents, let them know what kind of resources we offer at Logan High School, the different kinds of safety nets we have, how we provide for the students as far as their schedules go, the teachers that we have, and just try to reassure them that their students are in good hands when they come to high school and to Logan High particularly.
That's it's also, I've heard this said by other parents, it's a very different time, and it's kind of very much the same time always for especially high school students. I remember barely what it was like to be a high school student. I do know that it was a simpler time thinking of what a lot of students are thinking about beyond high school. For many, it's college or headed into a specific career they've already decided on. That seems to me, and maybe every generation thinks this, but it seems to me that was easier for my generation than it might be for kids now. More choices, but also more challenges. Does that make their time as a high school student more difficult for them?
I think it does. There are so many options out there for our students, and it used to be that we would try to channel our students into college in the traditional way, but we really try to prepare our students as far as finding their talents, what they enjoy doing, find a niche for them. We also really promote the 1, 2, 4 or more idea in high school and as counselors. One meaning a certification program, that's post-high school. Okay. That really fits a lot of students. The 2-year program could be an associate's or other further certifications. 4, of course, is a bachelor's degree, and beyond is the master's. So we just try to get to know our students. We have them for 4 years. We meet with them frequently throughout those 4 years and just try to guide them into what they're doing. It's also hard for us because we're preparing students for careers that haven't even been invented yet. As far as technology goes, right? So we're trying to help them be prepared for those kinds of things. But the key is just to find that niche for that student so they'll be successful in something beyond high school.
Yeah, and what we're doing at the elementary level is also trying to do a career week and do some career exploration with these kids, but mainly to try to expand their imagination into, like you said, jobs that haven't even been invented yet. Yeah. And try to get them the skills, the emotional regulative type of skills to have so that they can be successful no matter what comes their way. Because their environment is switching up a lot, especially with the computers and internet and all those things coming their way. And it's exciting to see them excited for things, but it's also we want to make sure that they're prepared so they can be successful no matter what comes their way.
This is a rare opportunity to be able to talk with you both. And for listeners, if you'd like to join us, you're welcome to 753-5868. Taking a look inside Logan School District, as we do once a month with Superintendent Frank Schoefield here in the studio, but also this week, Chris Hardy, who is a counselor at the Bridger Adams Elementary School, and Trudy Petersen, a high school counselor at Logan High. And we'll be back with more right after this.
It's time for Bank of Utah's Where's the Wallet Cash Quest. They've hidden a wallet worth $20,000 somewhere in Utah. Find it and keep half. The other half will go to a charity of your choice. Your quest begins at your local Bank of Utah branch. Look for the QR code to get access to clues. Follow Bank of Utah on social media and at bankofutah.com for rules and information. Find the wallet, win $10,000, and help a local charity. Bank of Utah will help you on your quest for financial success. Bank of Utah, member FDIC.
My son Ian was diagnosed with a brain tumor at the age of 16 months. The outlook was pretty rough. I mean, it was, we had no hope until St. Jude rescued us. I mean, they saved him. To this date, we are 12 years into this journey, and from day one, we've never once seen a bill. It gave us the peace of mind to know that we're there with our son, and we're gonna beat cancer together. Now, he is doing really, really well. He's alive because of what St. Jude has done. He's here because of the doctors who came before, their blood, their sweat, their tears, the knowledge accumulated and shared, with everyone else around the world. This is how we get rid of this, how we help kids beat cancer all over. It's the future.
Together, we will make yours possible for every child everywhere. Learn more at stjude.org.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Again, you're welcome to join us, 753-5868 here in the studio, first part of the hour. Special guests from the Logan City School District, Superintendent Frank Schoefield here in the studio, and also this week talking with counselors, both at the elementary and high school level. Chris Hardy, a counselor at the Bridger Adams Elementary School, and Trudy Petersen, a Logan High counselor. And it's been a pleasure to kind of pick your brains a little bit, talk about some of the challenges for parents and students now on the more, for lack of a better phrase, technical side of things. How do you go about preparing students for you? You've joked about this, but it's a reality, right? The jobs that will exist for elementary school students when they hit the time of graduating high school or going on to college and graduating college. Most of the jobs that they will have up for offer don't exist yet. Technology changes that fast these days. How do you do that? How do you prep them when the future is so unwritten?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And, it's a skill-based, I think. We're not really creating children to fulfill a particular position, per se. We're teaching children how to regulate their emotions, how to read, how to write, how to get along with other people, how to...
Easier said than done as adults, right?
Exactly, yeah. And so we're trying to teach these skills, and hopefully we catch them while we have them in our schools, so that we can be able to have them successful. I see a lot of that in the elementary level, trying to regulate their emotions, trying to teach them those social skills that they can be successful at the middle school, and roll over into the high school, and then become be able to make a positive future for themselves and in their community one day. And that's what we're all trying to do. That's
really, really important work that you do. And I know, speaking from my own experience, having access to counselors, especially at the high school level, for me, is, I think, one of the only reasons I graduated. Because I was that kid. I tested well, but I was undisciplined and unruly. Jeff on the line with a question for you. Jeff, go ahead.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I was
Jeff.
a teacher for 9 years, mostly junior high level.
Wow.
And I understand that universities attract a variety of personalities. And you may have covered this already. I don't know. I just tuned in. I'm curious, what is Logan doing to protect the children from mass shooting type events? And I'll listen to you off the phone.
I appreciate the question, Jeff. This is something on everyone's mind, right? The students are thinking about it. They're receiving regular trainings. We talked about, the state recently passed a bill to sort of standardize training, acknowledging this is a part of our world now, that children are going to learn how to escape classrooms and things like that. How does that come up in your setting? Great question, Jeff.
Yeah, I'll take this one.
Frank. Frank's going to handle it.
Chris, why don't you tell us what you
over there? My monitor blocks my view.
So, that's a great question. The board had some discussion about this last night. And school safety is really built around three primary pieces. One is your school culture. And are you creating a culture that builds a sense of connection, helps people feel committed to the school, where the school doesn't become a target. So if you have a teenager who's at risk of developing those antisocial thought processes and behaviors that lead to school shootings, what are you doing to put them in an environment where the school doesn't become the target? They feel connected to teachers. They feel connected to their peers. They're connected to activities. That's the first step that we take, is we try to make sure that the school is an environment where people feel safe and connected, so the school doesn't become a target of violence. The second thing that you do is you do have what we call hardening procedures, and these are the things that we do to try to prevent a person with ill intent from getting into the school. So we have single point access to all of our schools. You have a door that you're able to get into the school in. Those doors are locked and controlled, so we have secure vestibules. You can get into the exterior door, but then there's a secondary set of doors that prevent you from getting into the main school hallways. And we have those. We've added those to all of our school buildings. So you, again, limit the ability of a violent perpetrator to get into the school. I won't tell you all the things we put into the school, but we have things like ballistic films on our those vestibule windows, so you can't shoot out the glass and stuff like that. And then finally, you have your response protocols to make sure that if there is an emergency, students and staff are appropriately trained on how to respond. We do Unified Incident Command with Logan City Police Department and our other first responders. We have communications tools that allow us to communicate quickly and accurately with law enforcement in the case of an emergency. So when you take those three elements, creating a school culture where people feel connected and invested in the school, you create hardening structures that make it harder for a person with ill intent to get into the school, and then you have clear, simple procedures for responding for when a threat does present itself. Those are the main areas that we address to make sure that our students and our staff are in the safest position that we can create.
That is, I appreciate you answering that question, Frank. I know that this is, a tough issue to discuss and an emotional issue in a lot of different ways. And for you, Chris and Trudy, I know, there are probably conversations with elementary school kids, middle school, high school kids, where this comes up. It is the world we live in. Lawmakers today debating, a bill to make it a felony to threaten something like this at a school. We had some fake threats last year. It's a difficult time. Appreciate you coming in, though, and letting us kind of pick your brains. And I hope for parents out there, this is encouraging because you heard from Chris and Trudy that this is, that despite the challenges, despite the things that cause us anxiety, that cause parents anxiety, that cause students anxiety, they're aware of it, they're on top of it, and kids are finding a way to still. I think the thing for me would be the future still. What do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know. We'll wait and see what exists at the time, because cell phones might be passé by then. Our guests again, Chris Hardy, a counselor at the Bridger Adams Elementary, Trudy Petersen, Logan High Counselor, and Frank Schoefield, Logan District Superintendent. Thank you all for your time, and for listeners, thank you for your time. Please stay tuned. More of For the People. A look at the Hiram Farm Kids Market after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:30, and the news is brought to you by the Duck Hunter. Ohio voters rejecting a measure that would have made it more difficult to change the state's constitution is one of several developments related to abortion policy in several states this week. Ohio voters kept in place the rule that the state constitution can be amended with a simple majority of votes. The move comes ahead of a November referendum where voters will be asked to enshrine abortion rights in the Constitution. Elsewhere, courts in Kansas and Utah heard arguments about abortion laws in those states. In Arizona, activists began a push to ask voters to create a constitutional right to abortion. A legal battle over the U.S. government's deadly capture of thousands of wild horses in Nevada is getting a hard look from a federal judge in Reno. The ongoing roundup has left 31 Mustangs dead. Opponents say the roundup is illegal. They are seeking a court order to stop it. U.S. land managers said ahead of Wednesday's hearing that the deaths among 2,500 horses gathered since July 9th are an unfortunate but expected part of necessary efforts to cull the size of overpopulated herds. They say the free-roaming animals pose a threat to the ecological health of federal rangeland. Horse advocates say the deaths are the unnecessary result of inhumane tactics prohibited under law. KBNU News Time, 5:32. KBNU weather for tonight. And looks like mostly clear skies to partly cloudy skies will rule the night with mid-50s, and then plenty of sunshine tomorrow. Temperatures heating up to more like it is in early August, around 90 degrees for the high tomorrow, with some west winds 10 to 20 miles an hour in the afternoon. We've been in the low 80s today. 82 has been our high. It's 80 right now at KVNU. Weather brought to you by the Duct Hunter. If your clothes dryer isn't drying, it might be the dryer vent. Don't buy new. Call the Duct Hunter. They'll come clean it out for you at 435-770-4813. You can always get more news at CashValleyDaily.com.
At least 6 people are dead in the hurricane-fueled wildfires burning on Maui. Helicopter pilot Richard Olson says most of Lahaina is wiped out.
We were just speechless with one another as we viewed this horrible destruction of the town.
Tourists are being told to leave and to postpone travel to the island. FBI agents shot and killed an armed Utah man accused of making violent threats against President Biden hours before the president was expected to arrive in the state. California Senator Dianne Feinstein's recovering at her San Francisco home after taking a fall. ABC's Jay O'Brien.
Her staff is calling this hospital visit a precaution. They say the fall was minor, and then they go on to say all of her scans were clear, saying that Senator Feinstein is back home.
The 90-year-old Democrat is the oldest member of Congress. Gene Smith, the athletic director at The Ohio State University, says he will retire next summer. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Saw Halloween decorations at a store today. No comment. It's still summer, people. Come on. I know we like to get ahead of things in retail as quickly as we can, but really? August 9th? It's Halloween decoration? Anyway. What is going on in Cache County? The government. It has been a weird few years, from the tensions between the county executive and the county council, arguments that at times, I'll be blunt, there were times when I heard things said by county council members, I just wanted to say, people, how old are we? Just sometimes juvenile stuff. I've characterized it as a battle of egos. And it's unfortunate, but that has subsided, thankfully, with some new council members. And I think maybe the light bulb going on, how the public was seeing, this don't you know who I am power struggle. So that has subsided, and then more has come up. A couple of different things. The surprise resignation of the county recorder. And a little backstory on this. Remember, there was an audit done by the county executive's office a couple of years ago, or by the county clerk a couple of years ago, who has also resigned at this point, citing, the unprofessional work environment within the county. And the recorder resigning Saturday, just days after visiting with us here in the studio, citing the same thing, a professional and dysfunctional work environment within the Cache County government offices there. The recorder, Anderson, accused some current and former members of the county council directly of mistreatment, bullying, and intimidation of county employees and other office holders. A pretty serious accusation. Anderson, in his resignation letter, said the best leaders can learn to find common ground, disagree in civilized and professional manner, and resolve conflicts, and do so effectively to do what is best for the overall organization. Some officials, he said, though, would prefer to undermine or override the voices of the people. And Anderson said, it is abundantly clear to me that the county has some leaders who are more concerned with their power to eliminate other leaders than they are with respecting the vote and voice of the people. Cache County Council, come on. This is like the movie Mean Girls kind of playing out in front of us here. There's more, though. There's more. We'll get to it. A scathing state audit with recommendations for Cache County in regards to the Cache County Attorney's Office, double dipping, double billing, and naming names. The audit names people who clearly knew this was happening in Cache County, including former county executive Craig Butters. We'll get to that in a bit, but I just wanted to play this for everyone. This is just a clip of, so we had this conversation last Wednesday, with Cache County Executive David Zook and Cache County Recorder Devron Anderson in the studio. And so Zook had to come and go quickly. He had another appointment, so he was there for the first segment. Anderson stuck with us for the remainder of the hour, and we talked about the work of the Recorder's Office. And again, backstory on some of this, there was an audit done a little while ago, a couple of years ago, by the Cache County Clerk that said, that the Cache County Council was siphoning from the Recorder's Office, making it impossible for the Recorder's Office to actually do their job. Last week we talked about how important that job is and what the Recorder's Office does, which, the primary responsibility of the Recorder's Office is a constant land assessment process. It never ends. It requires staff. It requires know-how, skill, technology. And we spent an entire hour last week digging into that. It was a really illuminating look at the County Recorder's Office. And then days later, County Recorder resigned. Before that resignation, and before he left us last Wednesday, County Executive David Zook had this to say about the County Recorder, who, again, days later, resigned.
I just, before I leave, I just want to take a couple minutes and talk about Devron. I know you're going to talk to Devron and about some of the things that he's been working on, but I won't be here when that happens. I need to run to another engagement, but I just want to thank Devron for his service. He's been in office for a couple of years now, and I just want you and the public. Years too. Yeah, it's been challenging for sure.
Sure.
But I've been so impressed with Devron. He's a true public servant. He really cares about the people, and I know that that's why he ran for office, because he really wanted to serve. And that's what I've seen. He came into office with a mountain of work. When he came in, there was so much real estate activity going on. He was working nights. He was working weekends. He was working holidays.
Everybody was selling, right?
He was working so hard to catch up on a backlog that he inherited and the huge amount of volume that was just flowing into his office every day. Not only did he catch up on all of that, he's structured the office so efficiently. He's modernized. He's scanned documents. He'll talk about details on these things, but he has done what he said he was going to do. He has fulfilled his promises that he made when he said he was going to run in accomplishing modernization of that office, professionalizing it. It's an incredible operation there. He's done a fantastic job. I think Devron is one of the hardest working people I've ever known in my almost 3 decades of professional experience.
That was, again, Cache County Executive David Zook before parting ways with us 1 week ago from today, talking about praising the county recorder for bringing the recorder's office here in Cache County into the 21st century, finally. Modernizing the office, embracing new technology that had been kind of ignored for years. And again, something you can actually see on paper, getting ahead of that backlog of recorder's work. And again, this isn't all to point the finger at the former recorder. That audit from the clerk's office showed again that the county council has been siphoning money from the recorder's office, putting it into other parts of the budget, and the recorder not able to do their job. Devron was able to get ahead of that and catch the recorder's office up, both in the embrace of technology and, admitting the internet exists here in 2023, to getting through that backlog of work. And then again, 3 days after our conversation, the county recorder resigned, effective August 5th, Saturday, August 5th. I have never seen anything like this in Cache Valley. What's going on with the county council and county government at large. It's a shame. We're losing good people. We lost Jess Bradfield, county clerk, who resigned for basically the same reasons that Anderson cited in his resignation letter last week, pointing the finger at the county council and calling them unprofessional and dysfunctional. stories told detailing people who are just more about wielding power and punishing those who disagreed with them. This is an ego battle, not professional government services, which is what we elect these people to do. Devron again cited in his resignation letter, quote, a group of council members decided they were going to use their leadership positions as elected officials to target other elected officials and employees of the county they didn't agree with. This is now the second person doing a really good job. The county clerk brought audits back. That is one of the biggest things that to happen in Cache County in decades. Regular auditing was a thing again for a few years with Bradfield in as clerk. They also built the election center and brought things up to speed on that front. They won awards from the state in the clerk's office, and it appears at least the county council drove that person out, forced them to resign by making the workplace so unpleasant. And now a second person who has done the same thing, really brought county government up to speed with current technology, tackled a huge backlog of work, doing the things that people elect these people to do. And now that person, citing the council and their behavior again, has resigned. This is embarrassing stuff. I don't know what is up. I really don't. But I think it's time for the county council to check their egos and be professionals. We elect these people to get work done, not to, punish those they disagree with or who have disagreed with them, not to have, high school battles of the egos over who's more powerful. Don't you know who I am? No, that's not why we elect these people to office. Moving on from there, this was CacheValleyDaily.com has this story, as well as Anderson's resignation letter, if you'd like to read it. CacheValleyDaily.com this week has the story of a scathing audit. The state auditor's office and let's see, there was another organization involved here, Utah Office for Victims of Crime, UOVC. They basically launched an investigation. An audit was done that raised some red flags. An investigation by the Utah Office of Victims of Crime and Cache County of the Cache County Attorney's Office, audit by the state auditor at the same time, results in a report that the county council will now consider in resolution form. This will be in their regular routine business. They had this meeting last night. It was discussed. No opposition to the resolutions that were recommended by the state auditor's office. But what this is all fixing is, the proposed policy changes recommended by the state officials in this investigation are the result of, again, an investigation of the Cache County Attorney's Office. Letter dated July 26th, UVOC Director Gary Scheller summarized the findings of this investigation, this probe into the Cache County Attorney's Office, and their use of Violence Against Women Act funds, grant funds from the federal government, when it comes to billing for services outside of Cache County, Rich County primarily, during the years 2018, 19, and 20. And what the investigation found, and what the state auditor also found red flags for in their audit, was double billing almost $77,000 over a 3-year period. Fraud. I mean, this is fraud. This is the county attorney's office. County employees billing other counties for their services. That's not out of the ordinary, and that's actually a good thing we do that. Because Rich County, for example, can't staff like Cache County can, and so they can help them out and bill them for the services. That way Rich County doesn't have to keep the staff permanently. This is a good thing. But then they would turn around and bill for those same services out of the grant funds, the VAWA grant, federal grant. They believe this began in January of 2018 and didn't end until 2020. Cache County attorney at the time, Attorney Swink, resigned in 2021, and the person who replaced him, Baird, also, after being placed on administrative leave when this story broke, resigned. The investigation also says that many people in the county knew this was happening, citing former county executive Craig Butters, now overseeing Utah Department of Ag and Food at the appointment of Governor Cox, current Human Resources Director Amy Adams, and Finance Department Head Cameron Jensen. The investigation found that they knew this was happening. Corrective actions demanded in the investigation include new internal controls to prevent this from happening again, and compliance with county policy assurance, better policing of the actual policies that were in place throughout this whole time, just not being enforced. And the investigation also recommended better management of grant contracts and billing, better documentation and transparency of grant-funded staff time and activities, and development of policies to address potential fraud, waste, and abuse of funds by county employees. That's the investigation saying we don't already have those policies. Tie these stories together, and here's the picture painted. There is a lot of work to be done in Cache County. And instead, it seems like a lot of time is being taken up by fragile egos and power trips and trying to drive those you don't like, who have been duly elected to office, out of their positions. Come on, people. We'll be back right after this.
Let's have a boot scootin' time. I'm Abby Spencer, your Cache County Fair and Rodeo Junior Queen. Come celebrate with us Thursday, August 10th by wearing your purple and turquoise to increase suicide awareness. So buy your tickets quick at cachecounty.org/fair, IFA, or the Cache County Event Center because we sell out fast. The Cache County Fair and Rodeo, August 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th.
So come on out, let's have some fun at the Cache County Fair.
Are you a hot sleeper? Warm summer nights can make it hard to sleep. UNI Furniture recommends sleeping cooler with a gel memory foam mattress. UNI features a copper-infused gel memory foam that helps with coolness and circulation. It moves better with you, giving you the best night's sleep. UNI is also the home of Chair Heaven. There's a reason they sell so many chairs, including recliners. For over 90 years, there's always been a better buy at UNI Furniture, downtown Logan.
High school sports are as American as apple pie. And going to a game or meet is a chance to see the stars of tomorrow shine today. But as anybody who's ever attended a high school sporting event in Utah knows, you can't have the stars without the stripes. High schools are currently looking for new officials in almost every sport. Who looks good in stripes? Anybody looking for a way to stay connected to a sport they love. If you like the idea of giving back to your community while earning a few extra bucks, chances are you'd look good in stripes too. We want to hear from you. We need to hear from you. No officials means no games. No stripes means no stars. And what kind of America would that be? Utah needs more high school officials. Go to highschoolofficials.com to sign up or learn more. That's highschoolofficials.com.
One smile is great, but one smile in a community of smiles is so much better. A smile has a secret power that most people don't know about. A smile multiplies. It spreads from one person to the next, stretching across entire groups of people. Smile Train knows this and is proud to be creating a wave of smiles across the cleft lip and palate community in over 70 countries. Patients, doctors, advocates, fundraisers. Collectively, our smiles are a celebration of the transformed lives of over 1.5 million children. Learn how Smile Train is helping the cleft lip and palate community at smiletrain.org/learn. Smile Train, changing the world one smile at a time.
What if the second deadliest cancer in men and women could be prevented? Would you try to avoid the pain? And what if you could protect yourself without leaving your home? Colorectal cancer is highly preventable. Screening is important, safe, and most people have options. Ask your doctor which screening test is right for you. Learn more from the Colorectal Cancer Alliance at getscreened.org.
The Above and Beyond Salute.
Hello? Is this Darren Hall?
It is.
I understand you're a school janitor at the elementary school. How many years have you been a janitor at Wellsville Elementary?
Wellsville, I've been there 6 years, but I've been doing it for the school district for almost 16.
Man, I bet you've cleaned a lot of gum under desks, haven't you, in those 16 years?
More than my share, I would say, yeah.
Well, Darren, hey, to pay you back, I've got a $40 gift card to Firehouse Subs.
Well, thank you. That is awesome.
The Above and Beyond Salute, sponsored by Firehouse Subs on News Talk KVNU.
Wrapping up today's show with a little bonus Bill Walter for everyone. In addition to the news at the bottom of the hour, Bill had a chance today to reach out to our friends behind the Hiram Farm Kids Market. If you live at the south end of the valley, you may have seen this happening on Saturdays. A pretty big crowd there at the known as the Rodeo Grounds parking lot in Hiram, and kids everywhere. Arts and crafts made by kids, things grown by kids, things built by kids in a farmer's market style event. And it's really, really cool to see. We had a chance to talk with some of the organizers about where this idea came from, why it happens, and how you can be a part of it. Here's Bill.
Thank you, Jason. On the line today, we have Amanda Butler, who's with the Hiram Farm Kids Market. This has been going on this summer again on the east side of Hiram. Amanda, thanks for spending a few minutes with us here on KBN News for the People.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here.
So you had another successful season for the Hiram Farm Kids Market.
Yes, yeah, this is our third year running it, and we have so many more vendors this year, so many more customers, a lot more interest across the board. It was really exciting.
And you have one more market for this season, this coming Saturday, August 12th. Is that correct?
Yes, yep, it's our last one.
All right, 9 a.m. to noon. Right across the street from Ridley's, just north of Ridley's, there in the kind of the Hiram Rodeo parking lot where you set up?
That's correct.
All right, very good. So how did it go this year compared to previous years?
Well, this year we've had almost twice as many vendors showing up. So we've been taking roll every week, and our first week we had about 40 vendors come, and since there it's been pretty stable between 25 to 30 every week. So
wow.
Yeah, that's been really fun.
And now you've received some recognition as a nonprofit, which will take place at the end of this season. So that will be nice going forward. How will that benefit you?
Well, we're excited to set up as a nonprofit because it will allow us to be able to offer tax write-offs to anyone who wants to donate to us. You know, we could always use donations for advertising the market and letting people know that we have kids here selling things and letting them know what we have.
All right, so you take monetary donations for that. Now, you were telling me this year you had something kind of different for the kids, an entrepreneur workshop.
Yeah, so that was really exciting. At last spring, I was able to connect with Mike Young at the Small Business Development Center through the college, and they asked if they could do a workshop for the kids working on their businesses, on growing them. And we were able to have Mike Young come out and do a workshop for them, and he worked with each of their businesses individually, telling them how they can market things, how they can update their packaging, and what would work best in strategies for their business individually. So that was really fun to do. And then we did just a smaller one for the younger kids, just helping them practice talking to customers and helping them to know the different, know what supply and demand is and how to set their prices, things like that. So that was a really fun workshop we were able to do this year. We're really trying to focus more on teaching kids how to run businesses and how to be entrepreneurs, and set this up as a real good learning system for them in that way.
Yeah, I guess when you think about it, the whole market idea, I mean, it's fun for the kids, but it's also an educational experience that they can really grow from.
Yeah, we've had so many cool things from parents, so many stories telling us about their kids gaining so much confidence talking to adults by practicing every week at the market and being able to try out one product and seeing if it sells and try out other products and see if they sell and change the packaging to see what works better. It's just a really good experimentation place for them.
And I think we've talked to you before a year or two ago. I can't remember exactly when, but I can't remember how did this whole idea get started for the Hiram Farm Kids Market?
So Shelley Sadler was the original founder of the market, but her children, her teenagers, really they'd seen kids markets in other cities and wanted to bring one to Hiram, so they went to the city council and asked for permission to start it. So it was really started by kids, and we really try to keep that focus on them as well.
So it wasn't like the grown-ups just thinking, I need my kids to have a hobby this summer or be involved. It was very much kid involved from the very beginning, sounds like.
Yeah, it was. And we do try to keep it that way. At our market, we try to make sure that everything is made or grown by the kids so that they're involved with the product every step of the way, and they can gain confidence seeing something they create being sold.
Yeah, that is awesome. And so it's 9 to noon. It's been going throughout the summer, but, it's that time of year. School is going to be starting up soon. And so the Hiram Farm Kids Market has one more Saturday. So everybody's invited to Hiram this Saturday morning, 9 to noon, right there on the east side of Hiram on East Main, right across from Ridley's. So, Amanda, thank you. Thank you again for telling us a little bit about this year's market.
Yeah, thank you so much for letting us tell you. We love it, and we're excited about it.
And if after this Saturday, we'll see you next year.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
And now, Jason, back to you.
Thank you, Bill and Amanda, and thanks to our listeners, of course, for tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Coming up this week still on For the People, a look into Providence Sauerkraut Days. Also check in on the world of arts and culture with Charlie Schill in the Theater Hour and more. The movie show Friday at 5. A lot still this week. Tune in every day, 4 to 6 p.m. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.
The home for Utah State Aggie fans. KVNU Logan, 102 FM, 610 AM. Covering Aggie football like no one else does.